Mastering.com was recently at NAMM, and we had a pair of these Dutch & Dutch 8Cs set up at our booth. The owners of Dutch & Dutch were happy to come down and set up a pair of them for us, which was wonderful. And we had so many people who wanted to come by and listen to these and even take pictures with them that I just had to get a pair in my studio to see what all the fuss is about. I've never heard them in here. I don't know what to expect. I have a hard room to get right. And they say these have some technology inside that can help. Is it true? Is it worth the price? We'll find out. The first thing you need to know about these speakers is the unboxing experience was really great. I just took them out of a box. The nice touch that immediately hit me was that they send these white gloves. It's the white glove experience. They want you to move them around with the white gloves, I guess. I thought that was a nice touch. If you're curious, it comes with your power cable, your Cat 6 cable, which has some network capabilities that we'll talk about. It comes with a little tripod. It comes with a clip for the microphone. This has DSP inside that can do room measurements. That's what this microphone is for. And even a little Dutch & Dutch logoed tape measure, I guess for measuring the distance between your speakers. We have the quick start guide and a nice hand-signed letter from the owner of the company. I thought it was nice. Very easy to unbox, not really any frills, pretty straightforward. Open it up, everything you need is right here. But what about this speaker? What's going on with this speaker? It has 3 drivers equaling 1,000 watts. The first speaker right here is your mid-range. You have your tweeter here. And then on the back, you have 2 8-inch subs. So how does that break down? Well, the subsection does everything below 100 hertz. The crossover is set at right about 100 hertz. So this is doing all of everything below 100 hertz. The mid-range driver on the front does from about 100 hertz to about 1250. And then the tweeter does everything else. So why is this significant? Why does this matter? Well, it's interesting that nothing below 100 hertz, which is a lot of those big bass waves, is coming out the front or the sides at all. In fact, the only place it's coming out is the back with these bass drivers. That's significant because if you understand a little bit about room acoustics, if there was bass waves coming out of the front or the sides here, the way bass waves work is that they come out of the speaker, they go forward, but they also are such long waves that they wrap completely around the cabinet. And so what you have with most speakers is you have those low frequencies often coming out the front, and they're hitting you as the listener, but they're also wrapping around the speaker and bouncing off the back wall and reflecting to you. The time alignment of those waves hitting you then is skewed. You have the ones coming straight out, and then you have the ones that are bouncing off the front wall and coming right at you, and the side walls as well. And all of that reflection and the mistiming of those waves hitting your ears is causing smearing and even cancellation. So what they've done, and I think this is pretty genius, and there's only been a few people that have ever tried to do anything like this, is they have that driver doing the bass only on the back, which essentially says to me that it's built for a room that's imperfect. It's built for a room where you're putting these right up against the wall. And that's what they're designed to do. You want these actually as close to your front wall as possible. And what it effectively does then is there's nothing, those waves aren't coming out the front and then wrapping around and hitting against the wall. They're only coming out, hitting against the wall very quickly because you're close to the wall. And so all those bass frequencies are hitting your ears at the same time. That should, in theory, tighten up the low end that you hear in your room. That could be very interesting for a room like mine here, which has trouble with the low end. But they didn't stop there. I've seen that done before. What I haven't seen done before as much, or if ever, I could be wrong, but I've never seen this done personally, is they're kind of doing a similar thing with this mid-range driver. This goes from, again, 100 hertz up to 1250. That contains some waves that are also pretty long, and the mids in the replication of sound in your room can also be tricky. So these have the mid-range coming out at you, 100 to 1250, But those waves are long enough that within any speaker cabinets, they're actually also wrapping around and they're shooting effectively back into the cabinet as well. That happens with all speakers. The sound actually shoots back into the cabinet, which can cause smearing and vibrations and different things, and also bouncing and reflections. What they've done here is very interesting. You'll notice on the sides of these that they have this grill. And the grill, I'm told, is part of a whole system behind the front part of this speaker that is made to take that energy that's shot back into the cabinet and either cancel it or disperse it. Effectively, without getting into too much detail, because frankly, I don't understand the technology. But in effect, what it's doing is, for the most part, cancels everything that's shooting backwards into the cabinet. And the stuff that's going out to the sides, which would normally reflect off the side walls in your studio, they are able to cancel most of that. So you're getting a lot less reflection in the mids. Effectively, what they've done is made a cardioid speaker. You're only hearing what's coming out of the front, and with the relation of the bass to the back wall, a directional one-time experience. That's a cardioid experience. Less smearing, less reflections. That should lead to less modes and less problems. That's the theory. Will it work? I guess we'll find out. But that's cool technology. That's very interesting. So I'm excited to set these up. I'll give you my honest opinion. They sent these to me. I'm grateful for them to send me these to check out. But, you know, I'm going to give you my honest opinion on these. And they've actually asked me to do that anyway. They said, you know what, just tell us straight. We always want to improve. So I respect that. Really quickly before we do that, just want to go over a very simple design on the back for I/O. They have a sub out. They have a in that can be analog or AES. They have a through that you would use for AES. And then there's a network cable. This will hook up and essentially allow the speakers to talk to each other, allow the speakers to talk to your computer so you can use something like Room EQ Wizard with it, and it will allow you to connect to Wi-Fi that you can use a mobile app to actually control these speakers a little bit. So that's really cool. One note on the network feature: if you have a room that has Ethernet, you're good. You can just plug the Ethernet into the speakers. It'll connect to your system and you'll be able to use the app. I don't have that down here, and I'm certain there's other studios in which there's no Ethernet ports available. If you don't have Ethernet ports, what you're going to need is what's called a Wi-Fi bridge. That Wi-Fi bridge will allow you to take your home's Wi-Fi or your studio's Wi-Fi. It will capture that and it will send out Ethernet. You can plug Ethernet out of that into here and use your home or studio's Wi-Fi that way. So just note that if you don't have Ethernet port, you'll need that Wi-Fi bridge. Beyond that, you can select the analog or the AES, your power plug, and an on-off switch. The network cable is really interesting because I think the speaker cabinet design in and of itself, and I'm really excited to hear how they just sound without any other tinkering. You know, in mastering.com, we do a lot of room tuning, and we use Room EQ Wizard and other technology to help people have more accurate rooms, because listening in an accurate listening environment is essential to learning this stuff that we teach there and also being effective as a mix and mastering engineer. I want to hear how this sounds without any of that, and then I want to hear how it sounds with the technology they built under the hood. Now, the speaker design alone should handle a lot of the problems of this room, but if it doesn't, they've also built in DSP within this speaker that can tune the speaker to your room using Room EQ Wizard. So it's very customizable, and even on the app and different things that I haven't got into yet, but essentially you can tune these to exactly how you like them in your room. So if it doesn't quite get there with just the analog technology of this speaker box, there's also that DSP technology that can tune this speaker internally to your room like you would with those other programs that would be software. In this case, you don't have to use software. You can just use the speaker. So I'm excited to check that out, but I want to hear how this sounds without any of that. What is it doing just as a unit? And does it sound good? Does it have a great sound or a sterile sound, or is it detailed enough to do great mix and mastering work on? We'll find out about all of that. All right, the next thing I did was set up the speakers and get the right room position. And then I started into the speaker calibration part of the process. Again, the speakers have DSP inside that allows you to do custom room calibration. And I'll say I did have a bit of trouble getting these set up. In my studio here, I am nowhere near my router, and so I did end up needing a wireless bridge so that I could ultimately get these to talk to each other. They need internet access or network access to be able to talk to each other. It's not a huge deal, but it did take some figuring out. Also, make sure you read the website if you do need a bridge, because some bridges aren't compatible with the speakers. I get the feeling this will be something they make a little smoother, hopefully in the future. But once I got them connected, everything was smooth. If you don't understand room tuning or REW, you'll want to arrange with them to have someone help you with this. It's not as easy as like ARC or SonarWorks or something like that. But if you know RU or REW, it's easy enough. But yeah, once I got them connected, I was able to do these readings and manually adjust the speakers to account for some issues in my room. It's really nice that the calibration is all done inside the speaker and that there's no software that I need to worry about. I really like that part. In all, it probably took me about an hour, not including the time it took me to figure out the wireless bridge thing. But yeah, wow, the first impression I had listening to these speakers was really amazing. I think I'll take a few months and really get to know them before I give you my final opinion, but having come from another very high-end mid-range monitor, I am pleasantly surprised so far. When COVID happened, I moved my studio into my home, and this room has always been a bit tricky to deal with. But having listened just for a short time, I'm already starting to feel like maybe these are going to really help me out in here. All right, everyone, I actually took a nice break from filming, and I've been mixing and mastering on the Dutch & Dutch 8Cs for a few months now, just so I could really feel what it's like to use them longer term, so I could give you a better review. It's probably going to sound a bit like I'm gushing, and I don't want to come across that way, but honestly, I've had quite an experience with these. It's all been a bit of a revelation. On the technical side, the first thing that hit me was the mid-range. I don't think I've ever heard it presented this tight and this clear in this room. It's not hyped, it's not necessarily clinical, it's just really locked in. And the way the voices sit and the way the guitars cut, the way the reverb tails fall back in the mix, it all feels so much more honest and controlled than I ever have had in this room. It's really helped me dial in the mid-range on my mixes. I've heard it as I've tested at other places, and the mixes and masters I've done over the last few months have been really great. And the other technical thing I want to mention is the low end. In this room, I've never been able to get true low-end extension before. I've owned speakers of a similar price bracket, just as high-end on paper, that promised the kind of cancellation these speakers offer, and they simply couldn't do it. I made it work. I was able to get my low end locked in for the most part, but it was always despite the lack of translation. With these, though, I can actually hear it. I can feel it in the room. And it's not just rumble, it's detailed, usable low end that really translates for me. That alone has made the workflow that I normally have just more confident. I will say the upper mids, like 2 to 6K or 2 to 4K, are a little more hyped than I'm used to. I had to get used to that, so I didn't make things too dull, but honestly, that adjustment didn't take too long. I actually just pulled it down a little in the software, and it made a huge difference, and everything started translating to all the other speaker systems and everything I was checking it on. I also just think I'm maybe a little more sensitive to that range, so I wouldn't think too much into that. But here's the thing that surprised me the most. And this is not something I was expecting at all. Maybe it sounds a little corny, but I remember listening to some of my favorite songs on these for the first time after getting them set up. And I had this visceral reaction. I got chills, I got emotional. It felt like I hadn't really heard some of those songs that way before. It surprised me how musical these speakers are. I've had plenty of monitors that I trusted for mixing and mastering, but they weren't fun to listen to. They were tools, good tools, but they felt like tools. The 8Cs are different. They're precise enough, I feel, that I can get really surgical in a mix. But at the same time, I've had moments where I just stopped working, sat back and got lost in the music a little more. And this is music I've heard 1,000 times before. They actually reignited some of the simple joy I have for mixing and mastering, something I haven't had with other speakers. And that's maybe the highest compliment I really could give these. I haven't felt that in a long time. So, full disclosure, again, they sent these to me to use and review, but the only way I'd commit to them long term is if I really loved them, and I really do. They are expensive, but for me, they are truly the speakers that I've been looking for. So that's my review. If you have any questions about these at all, please drop them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer any of them that I see down there. All right, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.